Hey, honey. What's for breakfast this morning?
Nigga, please.
Hey, can't you just tell me what's for breakfast?
My nigga, please.
Corey is not a supremacist. He just acknowledges racial differences.
My nigga, please.
America was founded by whites, for whites.
My nigga, please.
He just thinks there are suppressed truths about race.
My nigga, please.
America was founded by whites, for whites.
The whole thing of, like, people, claiming that, oh, well, then what are you doing in America? Because, that wasn't your homeland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We conquered America. We came, we had the ability, and we did it. The better man wins. That's how it works. And, it's...
That's also how evolution works.
Exactly.
Whereas in Africa, it's literally like the most violent man gets the most women, in these kind of situations. So they just have not evolved in the same way that we have.
Nigga, please.
We developed these, complex societies, the great architecture, the great artwork, the great music, the science, the literature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Not to mention the wheel.
Yeah, meanwhile, our counterparts in other countries were living in mud huts and carrying baskets on their head.
Nigga, please.
Ironically, we're actually... Corey's here wearing a Buddha t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm here reading Buddhism for Dummies. And we're both vegan. So just so you know, we're not just like some bloodthirsty, love-killing, inferior beings or something.
No. If the native population of a territory that we went into was capable of defeating us, we would have been defeated and we would have left. It wouldn't have worked out very well. But, the only reason we were able to do it is because why? We could.
Nigga, please.
And even to this day, you find that a lot of medical research and is being conducted also in America and Australia. And why would that be? Think about that. Because the R1b haplogroup then was sent over to those two places. They're colonies.
Just look at every single civilized country in the world, aside from the East Asians, which are kind of like a separate issue that we could talk about another time. I don't really feel need to go into it. They're all colonized by white people.
I know you can't help being born in a specific country with a specific, a specific race or a specific IQ or whatever, but the thing is like, let's say you're born with an 85 IQ, just like somebody who's born with a 2-inch dick. Just like somebody who's born with a 2-inch dick. That's like, I'm sorry, you got the shit of the stick. I mean, you can't really do anything about it, but,
My nigga, please.
blacks get on whites for slavery and they want reparations for it, when in fact blacks were selling their own kind into slavery to whites and to the Middle East.
Oh, the only reason that we could conquer them was because they were such peaceful people. No, a lot of them were cannibals. A lot of them were doing human sacrifices on
Scalping
a
people's hair off.
scale. They were committing genocide within their own little groups. These weren't just a savage people, and that's what they were called, routinely, savages, and that's what they were when we turned up.
Corey is not a supremacist.
Nigga, please.
Hey, can't you just tell me what's for breakfast?
Corey McCarthy is a white supremacist in the strictest sense of the term. He and his girlfriend are both white supremacists. They are pro-genocide, pro-empire, pro-slavery when it's white people doing the enslaving, and for some reason not when it's the other way around. They are the worst kind of racists and apologists for the worst tendencies within 21st century fascism. Guess what? There are some well-intentioned black people like Richard, known as Vegan Gaines, who are apologists for his channel. Do you know what the knock-on effects of that are? Idiots. Idiots like Ask Yourself, aka Isaac Brown. Isaac, a nice little white boy from Southern Ontario who's probably met 3 black people in his whole fucking life, says, oh, well, it's okay if he goes ahead and makes excuses for a white supremacist because Vegan Gaines is doing it. That really is the problem with black people who try to be nice, who try to make excuses for white people who make excuses for genocide, colonialism, slavery, racism, and white supremacism. That's what happens, okay? My principle here is, don't make excuses for people who make excuses. In this case, it's don't make excuses for people who make excuses for racism, but really, there are a lot of different contexts we can apply this to in our lives. Isaac Brown, ask yourself, you seem to be real upset for some fucking reason. You seem to have created a controversy out of goddamn nothing. There's all kinds of garbage on your channel I could debate, and there's all kinds of garbage on YouTube we could debate. There are really meaningful, important issues of what's going on in the movement where you could apply your logical acumen. Go through the videos on my own channel recently. Look at the question of corruption within the effective activism research. Look at the numbers, the hard data, and a great article by Nathan Harrison. I've linked so much substantive stuff for you to dig your teeth into. The book review I did on Gary Francione's final book, the discussion and debate between myself and Mod Vegan about that. There are so many things worth debating that could positively impact the future of your channel, the way your audience perceives you, and the future of the vegan movement. But this ain't one of them. You created the phoniest debate in the world because you felt I misrepresented your views because I mentioned you in passing. On a video about another channel and another topic, I mentioned you in one sentence as someone who took the same idea further, and you throw a fit because I didn't paraphrase your logical argument in precisely the terms you would prefer. Well, gee, do you think I've ever had to deal with a situation like that? Do you think I've ever had to deal with my views being unfairly misrepresented by other people, such as Durian Ryder claiming that I had a love affair with a 16-year-old girl in Chiang Mai on the basis of 2 emails that have been publicly stated? They're on this channel. They're both like one sentence each. And the only thing I said to that 16-year-old was basically, yeah, kid, you're going to look back on this 6 months from now and laugh. Because she was at that time brainwashed as hell by Durian Ryder. Go to her YouTube channel today, 6 months later, I'm not sure if she's laughing or crying. But she's outgrown it. She's not brainwashed anymore. She's not part of the weight loss, raw vegan, ride your bike till you gain 20 pounds cult. So people do move on. I think I won that bet. Do you think I've had to deal with larger channels like, say, Happy Healthy Vegan, totally misrepresenting what I had to say, why I said it, misrepresenting who I was criticizing, why I was criticizing them, what have you, for an audience of over 100,000? Yeah, I've put up with a lot of that shit. And worst of all, I've put up with it from a natural vegan whose entire campaign against me was based on lies, including a lie, which really shapes the way people perceive the whole debate. She claimed that I just called her an idiot and didn't provide any substantive explanation of my own views. At that time already, I had a stack of videos expressing my views in that matter, and I created another stack afterwards. She never replied to them. She managed to make it out as if I'm the one who doesn't respond to criticism. I responded very thoroughly to her criticism. She never replied to mine, and she pretended mine didn't exist when it was already on the net at that point. Okay? These people are idiots. Do I think you're an idiot? Yes. The only real outcome of the videos you made were to convince me that you're someone who's not worth talking to, that you're someone who's not worth debating. And I expressed that to you in the most polite way possible. Guess what? You feel bad because you feel I misrepresented your argument. You completely and utterly misrepresented my argument in both videos you made about me. Both of them. It would be so boring to go through blow by blow. I would have to basically repeat what was already in my former videos. But in the second video, for example, what was it I had to say to you? You skipped the first 80% of the video, and then in only addressing the ending 20%, which is where I name you explicitly, you literally rant and scream in a childlike way at the camera that I've failed to define my terms, that I have no rational argument. I did have a rational argument in that video that you choose to ignore. I explained very clearly that some of the issues we deal with within vegan activism fall more into the same category of effective art and effective education. Things that are hard to measure and topics that your logical methods pertain to poorly. And I did that in a very reasonable way. I didn't say your content was complete garbage, which it is. Your normal videos, your video addressing the morality of vegans buying dead cows to feed it to their cats, you know, paying for animal meat so that they can keep a kitten, your video about abortion. This is moron level YouTube content. But I'm not really going out of my way to point you out for that, man. I said in the most magnanimous way possible, you're a kid who wants to get out of a minimum wage job, earn your living on YouTube, and I wish you luck. I also said in the next 10 years in veganism, maybe you can do something positive for the movement. And if so, that's great. I'll be cheering you on. I don't say that to everyone. I don't say it to pieces of shit like you who make excuses for Corey McCarthy and his girlfriend who are the smiling face of white supremacism on vegan YouTube. That was real nice of me, kid. And you know what else I said? I said if you want to take it up with me, you can meet me and have a boxing match, which you mysteriously didn't mention in your second video either. You completely misrepresented the point of that video. There are different categories of issues here. I think your method could apply well to some categories of issues or debates we have within vegan YouTube. Why don't you take on a natural vegan with her argument for so-called tentative veganism? Why don't you take on a natural vegan and the excuses she makes for why it's okay for a vegan to keep a cow in captivity in their backyard for their entire life so they can drink the milk from that cow, to kill that cow as long as it's painless and eat the flesh of that cow afterwards. A natural vegan supports Peter Singer's position throughout her whole career she has that killing animals is okay, eating their flesh is okay, keeping them in captivity to produce milk, honey, or chicken eggs. She believes backyard chicken eggs are A-OK, are ethical and moral and pure and good, and at the same time, she argues that veganism is logically flawed, untenable, and bad, and that's why she only supports tentative veganism. There's a topic you could sink your teeth into. I already mentioned, take a look at the article by Harrison Nathan. Linked in, I can link it again below this video. Very important article. Looking at really tough questions of how the social sciences are interpreted, misinterpreted, and misrepresented in debating effective activism and veganism and the future of this movement. Take it on, kid. There are some issues where your method works well. But I was pointing out in a very reasonable way in that earlier video, there are some issues where your method works very poorly. And that's like the contrast between talking about something that's effective in economics and something that's effective in education or the arts. Kid, I said before, I wish you the best. But I'll tell you something. The outcome of this conversation is just that you have convinced me that you're a complete idiot. And you know what the side benefit is? You convinced me that Vegan Gains is a complete idiot too. For that, I thank you.
Please.